Hexaria's newest weekly patch just dropped, and there's a lot to unpack from the looks of it. Legendary membership got entirely reworked, a batch of card bouncing changes are live, some new reskins have entered the fray, and most importantly, we got a new class trinket. It's big, it's bold, it could redefine how certain builds play. Without further ado, let's dive in. First off, what happened with Legendary membership? There's no enemy changes this weekly, however, something else notable dropped in its place. You know Legendary membership, that monthly subscription that enables nether token drops and gives you more memory shards for a boss fight? Well, first off, it's no longer a monthly subscription, but rather a permanent game pass. Second, it now only costs 45 Robux to purchase. The value of nether tokens has been reduced to a shape. Ignis didn't have to do this change, but did it anyways, because we love a good shakeup in the Hexaria economy. And when I mean shakeup, I mean a full-on crash in a key item's worth. If you have the Robux to purchase Legendary, I recommend you get it, since it's a relatively cheap one-time purchase, with great value attached to it, especially with Overseer's shop existing with most event cards in it now. Oh boy. The balancing changes for this weekly. We have a lot of banger changes to unpack this week on top of the randomized balancing changes expected by every weekly patch. So let's start off with arguably the most impactful one as always. In 2025, Wild Roar is finally useful again. Back in 2020, Wild Roar lost quick play, likely due to high cognition and Ramparts also losing quick play, and it being a counterpart to them. While high cognition still remained a popular farming staple, and Ramparts slowly becoming more appreciated over time due to harder hitting enemies, Wild Roar faltered due to it not really having that sort of X factor the other two one-cost ultra rare buffs had. Not even a sleep conditional could save it. In this weekly patch, Wild Roar finally got its quick play back. In exchange, its base defense debuff potency has been decreased to 25, and its conditional potency to 35. But that's not really much of an issue because once again, it got back quick play. You can now use Wild Roar without spending your whole turn, which greatly helps out its viability, and probably puts it on par with the other one-cost ultra rare buffs now. Hot Cocoa has gotten a weird rework where I think it has overall buffed the card, but makes it ever so slightly more situational. Previously, it was a simple turn filler that removed freeze and frostbite, while scaling its healing with every use of Hot Cocoa up to 20 health. Now, it's 1 bit in quick play. Socraft, your favorite card in the game that's known for being a turn filler, just got increased to 1 bit. How is this overall better? Well, that's because of its new conditional. For every stack of freeze removed, you'll actually be refunded a bit now. This bit refund is capped at 2, meaning you can actually gain 1 bit with the new Hot Cocoa at 2 freeze stacks. Although this seems extremely situational outside of Snowville, and not really worth going out of your way to consistently accomplish. It's fair since you can't chain Hot Cocos together to gain tons of bits in the same turn, since it not only removes all freeze on use, but then slaps a freeze immunity on the caster. Instead, I see the card encouraging the player to get a neutral refund through 1 freeze stack removed. Glacial Impalement, the frozen buffs, and especially wind powered are your best friends when getting a net 0 cost Cocoa. Hot Cocoa rewards you for using the card as intended to remove freeze now, which gives it ever so slightly more depth in its design. Definitely one of the weirder weekly patch balancing changes, but I welcome it nonetheless. Oh yeah, it also got increased to 9 bits for a while before the patch drops, so funny. Combust has been publicly executed, and to nobody's surprise, everyone is on board with it. Even the armchair feedbackers who think every card should be useful like this change. Sure, it got quick play, but now it deducts an extra bit if applicable after its use. This has made the card worse. And yes, this was entirely intended by the dangerous developer himself. However, I still think that the overwhelming potential of discarding a single card on 3 burn stacks while also dealing mediocre burn damage for 1 bit is still a little too much for Combust. Combust definitely needs to get nerfed even harder in the form of the applicable deduction being increased from 1 to 2. Let's all be honest, Combust isn't an event card. It can't possibly be this good. I've seen Burn Stack as somewhat underwhelming compared to the other burn sub-archetypes in Passive Burn and Self Burn, as it didn't really have that decisive staple card like Self Burn having Burst Flare and Passive Burn having Invoke Fire Spirit. Now, Burn Stack does have somewhat of a staple card in the form of the newly buffed Micro Meteors. Previously, Micro Meteors only applied 2 burn stacks on hit, which really didn't do that much to stack burn, requiring a pyro cycle afterwards to get the target into conditional Will-O-Wisp range. Seriously, this card launches 3 identical meteors, and you're telling me the third one doesn't apply burn for some reason? Anyways, the burn stacks applied with Micro Meteors have been increased from 2 to 3. You can now reliably combo Micro Meteors and a Will-O-Wisp the turn after without any other cards needed for the setup. Overall, a good change that will help out burn stack. Darksteel Dagger has been in the gutter for a few years after PvP balancing took its toll on the card's overall viability in 2023. First lowering its conditional damage from 50 to 45, then down to 42. Fortunately, it gets to see the light of day again, as in this weekly patch, its conditional damage has been increased back to 50, giving Astral Surge a real run for its money, along with the next card we'll be talking about. Darksteel Dagger is back to being the premier early battle attack it once was, thanks to PvE balancing, and it can now hopefully start seeing reasonable use, although only time will tell. Before Darksteel Dagger got gutted, Heartseeker fell off due to more or less the same course of PvP balancing events a year before Darksteel Dagger did. However, it too has been cast back into deck building relevancy with not just a damage revert, but something that will make it more useful in endgame content. While its conditional damage got reverted to 45, which is great, the more impactful change to the card has to be the change in its conditional. Instead of the enemy being 100 health or lower to activate it, the conditional is now if the enemy has 25% or less of their maximum health remaining. In endgame fights where enemies have a lot of health, you'll see many more opportunities to utilize Heartseeker compared to it just being at 100 health or less. It's a proper counterpart to Darksteel Dagger, with Heartseeker instead being a great late battle attack. And of course, another card which will give Astral Surge a proper run for its money. We'll have to see if Heartseeker becomes more useful in endgame fights, but I'm sure it'll be used decently. If you're at this point in the video, I just want to say thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing, feel free to leave a like on the video so more people can see it. If you want to know when more content drops, feel free to subscribe as well. Once in a blue moon, Scam gets his reskins replaced with new ones, and it's happened again with this weekly patch. And this time, there's a new reskin for sale, as well as another freebie, and 2 returning ones that are back on the shelf. For people who aren't aware of Scam, he's an NPC in Obrak Extern 2 that sells various reskins and sometimes outfits for Hexons. The green balls have been replaced by 3 Prismasite reskins. If you haven't managed to secure a copy of Healing Prismasite and or Prismasite Blade yet, you can get those reskins now from Scam for 1,000 Hexons. However, a 3rd Prismasite reskin has now joined the bunch in the form of Burning Prismasite, a new reskin of Hellfire. They cooked on the visuals, it looks great. Second on the docket for new reskins is none other than TV Slop, based on the item from the new Deltarune chapters. It's a reskin of Conjure. Yes, you heard me right, a reskin of Conjure. It's a freebie that you can obtain from Scam by talking to him. I believe it has a slightly faster animation than the base version, so definitely get that reskin while you still can. I thought I'd also mention that Scam is giving away a free outfit too that you can obtain by simply talking to him also. Some assorted changes also happen with this update. First off, Hired Wizard got a remodel. The summon looks more like the Novice and Adept mages in Ulbrich Extern 1 now. Its card art also got changed from a purple hat to a blue hat. Next up, cards that previously just had placeholders have gotten full card arts thanks to Daquan. They look good, not much else to say about it. Lastly, Card Seal has gotten a new icon made by Magma. Oh, also there's an animation change for Core Infliction apparently. And now, onto the arguably most impactful addition from the weekly, the new Trinket, Experimental Infusion. When equipped, it gives you the reanimated subtype in combat, but in return, you get permanent heal block, making for a unique set of stats players can utilize in battles. The most obvious synergy with this trinket are the mutate cards, safe for mutate health, which doesn't actually heal you because once again, you get permanent heal block. So, I see Experimental Infusion as a decisive trade-off in attacking based decks. You can now utilize conditional mutate death on yourself, granting a permanent 10% attack modifier, but now, any damage you take in a battle can't be recovered from. For players who want a new challenge in Hexaria, Experimental Infusion now lets you challenge yourself to win battles healless if you're into that. Unlike the other class trinkets that are generalists, this one seems to be a little bit more specialized towards specific play styles, which is going to be interesting in deck building. You can get Experimental Infusion by completing the new quest in Drown Pass. So, one trinket. At least that's what I would say if Kip did not drop something while I just finished driving in a really hot car, just melting right here. but not as hot as this new trinket that Maxim sells, apparently. We got Maxim's Elixir. It is a general trinket, unlike Experimental Infusion. And it seems like something interesting. I'm doing this entirely unscripted and live. Leave in the comments if you want some more unscripted live stuff, because I'm up for it. It seems kind of fun. So, Experimental Infusion, it's an 80% decay now if you equip it with Experimental Infusion. No Revitalize, but whatever. It's not like you're getting that much Revitalize from Administration. Maybe Small Blessing, but again, not a big issue. I guess it makes Mutate Health a little bit more palatable. Seems like there's an opportunity cost. You don't have to bring the Elixir. You'd have to give up a trinket spot for it. But if you do, then you can somewhat heal back the damage. It's not that much, but you could still heal back. So I see it as an interesting trinket here. Experimental Infusion, it's not a generalist trinket. So it's getting absolutely dunked on by Broken Mask and Ring of Arcane Focus there. So it needs supplementary stuff to at least be serviceable in its niche. And this is a step in the right direction. And that wraps up everything in this week's weekly patch. Legendary membership changes, interesting card balancing, new reskins, and of course, the new class trinket that's bound to shake things up. This might seem like a small patch on paper, but I think there's going to be some noticeable shifts in deck building picks over time because of it. I think it was a mostly good patch, but some things could have been better, such as Combust getting nerfed even harder. Make sure to let me know your thoughts about this weekly patch in the comments. See ya.